Welcome to the first live recorded Swords of the Serpentine playtest.
Ooh, it's
not the first playtest, just the first live play that we've done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have your character sheets both in front of you. I pre-gened these. You can make changes on them as I describe them, but I figured we would have a starting place on how to do this. Why don't we go over the character sheets first? I'll give you a little bit of a sort of setting background, and then we'll dive into it. Does that work?
Yeah,
okay,
sounds good.
Fantastic. Lovely. All right, so at the top of your character sheet, you'll see you have your name. Fill in your name. Russ, what are you using?
Mandrake.
All right. I'm typing in Mandrake on mine. Excellent. And Peter?
Silas.
Lovely. As a default, the setting sort of defaults to relatively Italianate names, but we don't need to worry about it for this. Frankly, it's whatever the GM wants it to be. I just happened to write the thing so with a kind of default towards Italian names.
Okay.
The other thing that's worth noting about the setting is that skin color tends to be darker instead of lighter. In fact, the more noble your lineage is, the more likely you are to have darker skin.
Okay.
And if there is ever any, because it's a theocracy and the city's goddess is a woman, that means that if there's ever any question sort of as to who's in charge, whether it's a man or a woman, it more usually defaults to a woman. So they tend to be, noble families, for instance, tend to be matriarchies. All right, so at the top of your character sheet, you see you have your name, you have your profession, where Silas is a mercenary, and Mandrake is a sorcerer and naturalist.
Yes.
Am I correct about the naturalist?
That's what it says.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to be. You can change that. It's your damn character.
I don't know what that means, but I'm happy with it.
So what that means, you are insect obsessed. Do you spend your time out in the swamps examining insects? Or are you... or do you just happen to have a predilection for them?
I really like the idea that I have a collection.
Okay.
And nobody comes near my rooms because they go in there and there's just like all these insect... And I probably keep them live as well. They're not corpses. They're in little jars and all sorts of things like that.
Oh,
that's lovely. That's great. I'm sure you date a lot. So you'll notice, so when I say naturalist, that's less of a naturalist and more of a creepy person. Okay, fantastic. So the three things that you look at first on your character sheet are the adjectives, what is best in life, and then your gear of all things. So the adjectives don't have a game mechanic. They're merely there to sort of give you a feel for who you are. And you should both feel free to change any or all of these if they don't fit what you want to play.
They look
Peter, do you want to quickly just read yours for anyone who's listening?
Yes, the adjectives for Silas are terrifying, stubborn, gullible, commanding, prepared, vindictive, and greedy.
Lovely. Any of those you want to change?
No, I'm alright.
Okay, that sounds fine. Your mercenary is very good at ordering people around. Super deadly in combat. You don't have any points of liar's tell, which means it's harder for you to tell when someone's lying to you. My assumption for this game is that you are a member of the house guard for Russ's family. And as long as they continue to pay you, you sure will continue to be loyal.
Yep.
Russ, want to run through yours quickly?
Yes, well, mine are perfect. You've nailed this exactly how I was imagining this guy.
Lovely.
So he's creepy, he's obsessive, he's stylish, he's implacable, and he's pedantic.
Yeah, but what about your character, Russ?
You're so funny.
What could we ask for? All right. So the second thing that really sort of defines who you are the three things of what is best in life. These in the same way that, ostensibly someone asked Conan what is best in life. This sort of defines who you are and what you love most. These do have a game mechanical effect. Once per game, you can tick these off if it applies to something you're trying to do and give yourself +1 on a roll.
Okay.
Okay. So, Russ, you want to read Mandrakes?
Yes, so the best in life is the buzz of thousands of tiny wings, the blood-red majesty of nature in bite and claw, and claiming what is yours.
Does that work?
Absolutely.
All right, fabulous. All right, Peter, you want to read yours?
What is best in life? Destroying those who challenge your authority, increasing your reputation, getting paid for a job well done.
We've gone into the voice already, have we?
Wow.
I've got to think of a voice for this guy.
Okay, fair enough.
Someone do a creepy voice so I can try and copy it.
Our creepy voice. I don't know where you find one of those from. I'm pretty.
Greetings, my name is...
Do you remember what Peter Lorre sounds like? Ah, yes, of course.
Ah,
yes.
Yes, you should do it like that. Yes, I see no way that could possibly go wrong.
What was that accent you put in?
So the third thing that defines who you are is, in addition to your abilities that we'll talk about, is your gear. And this is a little bit unusual. Instead of having a character description, we want to make sure in this game that somebody can look at your gear and know exactly what kind of a person you are.
Okay.
So Peter, want to run through your gear real fast? Silas's gear?
Yes, I have a nice chain armour claimed from a whimpering enemy, a two-handed axe with a blood-stained haft, a uniform, although it does need a wash, an empty wineskin, an empty purse, and best of all, a contract for my employment.
Yes. You can add something on there if you wish to do so. Russ, you want to run through yours?
Oh, yes, I have a letter from my sister asking me not to visit. Damn it. I have clothing more suited for the swamp than a ballroom, haunting dreams with thousands of voices, and a burning sense of irritation at the man who crossed me.
Exactly. Your gear can also include emotions, memories. It's not unusual to have, for a noble to have their servant written down as gear, especially if they can't remember what his name is.
Sorry, Peter, what was your character's name? I just want to write it down.
Silas.
Just make sure I don't forget that.
So the idea behind Gumshoe, as I mentioned the other week, is that we want to make it so that if you are trying to find out information, you'll always succeed at that. And it's up to you what to do with the information that you find, right? So your character sheet is split up between investigative abilities that are in the middle of the sheet and general abilities that are down near the bottom of the sheet. You'll also see your allegiances in the middle right. Those are the political groups that you have allegiances or have as enemies. So, for instance, Mandrake has a rank of allegiances to the ancient nobility and to the sorceress cabals. And the Church of Denari are opposed to him, probably, I assume, because there's a reputation that he might be dealing with unsavory things.
Okay.
In comparison, Silas has 2 ranks of allegiances to mercenaries, and as enemies, again, the Church of Denari, largely because he primarily works for Mandrake, and thus has been tarred with the same brush. So you can use those allegiances just like any other investigative ability, where if you want to find out something about mercenary Silas, or about, something sorceress, or about the ancient nobility, I'll give you that information automatically because you have a rank in it. And you can spend those points to influence other people. For instance, you could, Russ, if you needed to call in extra sorceress help that was to do something you couldn't do, you could call on the sorceress cabal, for instance.
Right.
If you needed to rally the nobles to a cause, you could spend your point of ancient nobility, that sort of thing. Or if you really needed to impress people with exactly how important you were.
So these dots are an expendable resource, are they?
Yeah. So for the general abilities down below, those can come back during the game.
Okay.
The investigative abilities are an expendable resource. You do not stop being good at that thing just because you spent the resource.
Yeah.
Right. It's you don't suddenly stop knowing people in the nobility or knowing other mercenaries, but you can't get this cool effect from that a second time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And really, they're there to be spent, so that's all good.
Okay.
Because there's only 2 people in this party, you have more of those ranks in investigative abilities than an average party of 5 players or 6 players would have.
Okay.
It scales up a little bit.
Okay.
So those investigative abilities, as I was saying, those both define how you see the world and how people see you, and they define what you know. So as we look at Mandrake, and Russ, you can change these around if you want to. Mandrake is not charming in any way, shape, or form.
Agreed.
He's not good at ordering people around.
Absolutely agreed. Yeah.
Yes, he's reasonably intimidating. Your scale on these, 1 rank is really good. 2 ranks is superb. 3 ranks is the best most people know. 4 ranks is the best most people will ever meet in their lifetime, and 5 ranks is one of the best in the entire city. So even 1 rank is still pretty good. So Mandrake is intimidating. He can tell when people are lying to him. He's got 2 points in nobility. He's old school nobility. Much more social capital than wealth, unfortunately. You are not in any way servile. You can taunt people, make them angry at you, get their attention, make them so angry that they monologue at you. And you are in no way trustworthy. That sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, lovely. And in comparison, as we take a look at Silas is... so I don't have you with any points of charm, Silas. We can change that if you want to.
I was thinking possibly putting 1 from command into civility.
Sure, that sounds great. Let's do that. Right, so you've got 2 ranks in command, 2 ranks in intimidation, no ranks in liars, teller, nobility, 1 rank in servility. And servility will basically lets you fit in with the common people. Blend in, it makes people not notice you, so you can eavesdrop on them because you're not worth paying attention to. Absolutely. And then I have 2 points in taunt, and again, no points in trustworthy. We can change that if you want.
That seems good.
Okay, great.
So neither of us are trustworthy.
So neither of you are particularly trustworthy. It's only a 1 encounter game, that's fine.
Avoid your charm and trustworthiness.
Yeah, that's right. So, and here's the thing, right? So this describes the mechanical effects. How you describe it is up to you. So, for instance, somebody could be so charming. They might not have any ranks in charm, but they're so charming that people fall in love with them instantly and become tongue-tied and refuse to tell them stuff. Right? Or that's true with intimidation. You could think that you could describe your character as being utterly terrifying, but if you don't have any ranks in intimidation, you're going to scare people into silence.
Right. Yeah.
In common media, a good example of that is in the movie Moana. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
I have not.
Okay, well then, Russ, you're going to miss out on this example. But Peter, the Maui, thinks he's incredibly charming. Yes. Not really. Right?
Yeah, fair. All right.
Okay, so then the rest of your investigative abilities describe what you can do. And for Silas, you have 1 rank of ridiculous luck. You have 2 ranks of spot frailty for health, which means that you walk through the world seeing the weaknesses in things. Oh, that hinge is rusty. Yep. Oh, that enemy has a gap underneath their armpit of their armor. Oh, that giant red dragon has a hollow in the shadow of its left breast where a gem has fallen out.
Yep.
That means that you will ignore a number of points of armor of your enemy equal to the rank that you have.
Okay.
And by spending those points, you can either break stuff or you can communicate that weakness to the other members of your party for a scene. Yep. Okay. Just like Bilbo telling the thrush about the lack of the hole in Smaug's armor. Yes. And then the thrush let Bard know that. Yeah, same sort of deal. You have 3 ranks of Tactics of Death. As I mentioned the other day, Tactics of Death is akin to Prince Humperdinck getting to the top of the Cliffs of Insanity and saying, "A mighty duel was fought here," right? As he retraced the duel. You can look at a scene of violence and know what happened. You can also spend those points to do really horrible damage to people. Because you understand how troop movement works, you understand how close quarters combat works, you understand how to hurt people. And then finally, you have 1 rank of Wilderness Mastery. If you ever went outside of the city, why would you go outside of the city? But if you did, you would not starve to death in a ditch. So that's good. Russ, you have all of your not all of your points in sorcery, because you have two ranks of Wilderness Mastery as well. But most of your other ranks are in Sorcerer. So you have 3 ranks of Corruption. This is akin to how powerful your magic is. So there's no such thing as good sorcery. All sorcery comes from a bad place. You rip it out of another world into your world, and it's pretty horrible when you do. So when you can hurt people with sorcery without creating corruption. But if you try to do the big spells, those can pollute yourself or the area around you. With 3 ranks, you're pretty damn powerful. Each rank gets you a sorcerer's sphere down at the bottom right-hand corner. And that is the sort of theme that your magic is described by.
Yeah.
So the first one is insects. I took the liberty, you get 1 sphere per rank. I took the liberty of adding 2 others as wind and blood, because I kind of like the idea of you just latching onto someone and like a mosquito, draining them entirely of blood.
Okay. Just so I can contextualize this a little bit, could you give me a sense of what 3 ranks of corruption, what sort of effect I could do with that?
Sure. So if you did them one at a time, basically those ranks of corruption can be used to break the rules in a way that no other ability can do. So if I was going to, for instance, describe my sorcerer as using the ability of an insect to climb up the side of a building, I can climb up the side of a building with an athletics test. So I'd have you roll an athletics test and just describe it as using your sorcerer's ability to clamber up the building. But if you wanted to, for instance, suspend somebody in midair, there's no other ability which would do that, right? And so you'd have to spend a point of corruption in order to make that kind of a spell effect.
Okay.
Each one does about 50% more damage if you tack it on for extra damage than a regular spend does for one of the other abilities, because it comes with that penalty of causing corruption. So here's an example, right? Let's say I had the sorcerer's sphere of stone, and I wanted to get into a stone tower. With 1 rank, I could probably rip off the gatehouse. Spending 2 or 3 points, I could probably rip the entire front off the tower.
Wow.
Okay. Or literally open up the tower like a rotten fruit, exposing everything inside of it. Like, give you a feel?
Yep.
Right. And you can describe, when you hurt people, you describe how you defeat them. So, for instance, if you use your sorcery to take down some foes, you could describe that as, their bodies literally dissolving from flesh and turning into a mass of maggots. Or flying insects that then follow you, or what have you.
Lovely.
All we care about is the fact that they're defeated. You get to describe what that means any way you want.
Ooh.
That makes sense?
Ooh, yes.
That's true for other stuff as well. So, for instance, if Silas is incredibly commanding, he might decide that he's so terrifying that he just whispers a suggestion and people do it immediately. He might decide that he just has a naturally commanding personality, or that he has a high rank in his mercenary guild. Like, it's totally up to Peter as to what that means. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Beautiful. Okay, so you've got 3 ranks of corruption, Russ. When you spend corruption to create a powerful spell effects, you have a choice. You can either internalize that corruption and something physical on your body changes. If that's how people get third nipples and hideous warts and extra eyes and scaly skin and that sort of stuff. If you read a swords and sorcery novel and the sorcerer is covering themselves in a heavy cloak, that's probably why. You could also instead externalize that corruption, polluting the area around you. Now, if you weren't in Eversink, that would mean, for instance, like chickens around you would start laying stones instead of eggs. Babies would probably start crying and not stop crying for a year or so. The plants would wither, that sort of thing. If you externalize corruption in the city of Eversink, it literally burns away the goddess's blessing, injuring her, and that's why it's illegal. It's not illegal to be a sorcerer, it's illegal to cause corruption. Make sense? You have 2 ranks of Forgotten Lore. Forgotten Lore tells you stuff that nobody else knows. Ancient chants or wards, trivia, all sorts of stuff like that. Okay. Also, you can spend those points to decide that something is true. If you want to make, you have narrative control most of the time, but if you want to make up a fact that is immediately advantageous to you, spending a point of Forgotten Lore is a pretty good way to do it. Okay, you have 1 point of Leechcraft. That's the equivalent of a medical skill. 1 rank of Leechcraft tells you know about diseases, you know about poisons. You can spend that point to either help someone who is diseased or poisoned, or give someone a disease or poison them. And then finally, you have 1 rank of Prophecy, which can give you clues and tell you things about the future, past, or present. It can point you in the correct direction. You can spend that point to help make things come true. Okay? Beautiful. Excellent. All right, so last bit is your general abilities. As I mentioned the other day, you can attack either health or morale. So you can defeat a foe without ever laying a finger on them.
Yep.
Your general abilities are athletics, running, climbing, jumping, that sort of thing. Your skill here, 1 to 3, if you have no points, you can't do it. 1 to 3 points is decent. Nah, not great. 4 to 7 points is decent. 8 points or higher, and you're an expert at it. And if you're an expert at it, you get a cool extra bonus thing.
Yes.
So, for instance, Mandrake's abilities are 3 ranks of athletics, 3 ranks of bind wounds that will let you heal people, 2 ranks of burglary, so you're kind of shitty at picking pockets, but you can manage it if you need to. 2 points of preparedness. You don't usually have what you need on you, but that's because you have Silas with you. And 4 ranks of stealth, so you can sneak when you need to. You are, however, superb in combat. You have 8 ranks of sorcery, and your sorcery affects health. And 8 ranks of sway as well, which will attack morale.
Okay.
And because you have 8 ranks in both of those, if there's more than one person to hit in combat, a high roll means you will automatically affect more than one person. It's basically cleave. Okay. In comparison, as we look at Silas has 7 ranks of athletics. He's very, very fit and very good at running, jumping, chasing, etc. No ranks of bind wounds or burglary, but 8 ranks of preparedness.
Yeah.
So this is the ability as a reminder that, like the TV show Leverage or the movie Ocean's 11, you could trigger a flashback.
Yes.
So if I think something is true, you can tell me no, it's not true, and tell me what is true instead.
Okay.
Okay. You have 3 ranks of stealth. You're okay at sneaking.
Yeah.
You're not great at talking people out of stuff. You have 4 ranks of sway, but 8 ranks of warfare, so you're really good at cutting people down with your weapons.
Okay.
With it? All right, beautiful. You've got your health and morale down at the bottom. I think that's it. Oh, one last thing. Way general abilities work. When you want to do something, roll a d6. If you get a target number of 4 or higher, you'll probably succeed. Now, that means you fail half the time, right?
Right.
So what that means is before you roll, you may spend points off your general abilities in order to add to that die roll. So if I want to climb a building, I might decide to spend 2 points of athletics. I roll a d6. As long as I don't get a 1, I succeed. Okay. The reason that I say this game is is a little bit of competence porn, is people doing what they do really well, is because you could spend 3 points on a general ability and automatically succeed. Right?
But
So
once
you have
those
some
points have been
control over
spent,
that.
they're gone, yeah?
So those points can come back by defeating foes and solving problems. You can get some refresh points on those. And the goal there is what I want it to feel like. If you're playing Conan and you're chopping your way across a battlefield, I don't want to feel like you get 3 good hits and then you're done. I want it so that every person that you slash down who falls before your sword then gives you the ability to hit somebody else. Right? So you can keep going.
Okay.
All right. Beautiful. Any questions?
No?
Health and morale. So
Right. So health and morale go from the lower edge is negative 12. So you're uninjured until you hit 0.
Okay.
Unphysically injured. Between 0 and negative 6, you're hurt. Between negative 7 and negative 12, you are really badly injured. And at negative 12, you are defeated. Now, defeated doesn't necessarily mean dead. It's up to the person who defeated you what that means.
Yeah.
They can leave you alive. They can declare that you're unconscious or stunned.
Okay.
Or, conscious and...
just so I'm reading this right, so I have 8 health and I have 10 morale, is that correct?
10 morale, that is correct.
Okay.
You'll notice off to the right, there's a little thing that says threshold, and the number is either 4 or 3. Your threshold is your armor class, so that when someone is trying to hit you, they're trying to hit either a 3 or a 4 on a d6.
Okay.
Yep. If you had a shield, you could raise that number. If you declare that you are crouching behind something, some kind of cover, you can raise that number.
Yep.
I'm sure that you could spend an investigative ability to raise that number too. And that's the last thing to mention. Those investigative abilities, they can do, by spending those, there's a ton of cool stuff you can do. And to a very large extent, I'm going to leave that in your hands. If you want to do something unusual, and there's and you can rationalize it through an investigative spend, tell me. And I will probably say yes. And part of that is imagination. For instance, if, Russ, let us say that you wanted to stab somebody with a dagger. Okay? And you said, hey, I want to spend both my points of ancient nobility in order to do more damage on that. And I would say, But if you say, growing up, every year my parents bought me fencing lessons.
Right, gotcha.
I would say, absolutely, you can spend those points of ancient nobility or nobility to add to your damage. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fabulous. Good.
Right.
All right, I think that sort of sums up the character sheets and the fast version of the rules for what we need. Anything else to talk about?
No, I'm ready to go.
Let's go, yeah.
All right, so please, if you would, both of you, introduce yourself and introduce your character. Peter, you want to go first?
Hello, my name's Silas. Very pleased to meet you, I'm sure. I work for Mandrake. He's a noble of sorts. He's very interested in his bugs, his little creepy crawlies. He has a whole collection in his room. They're interesting. Myself, I work for his family. I keep to my contract for employment and make sure that the honour, such as it is, of the Mercenaries Guild is upheld, which I do using this handy little axe here.
What do you look like?
Oh, well, I should imagine I'm about 5'8", long, greasy hair, in the black. I've got a beard, it's a bit ragged, except for the moustache, which of course has finely waxed, when I remember.
Very stylish.
Oh, yes. All the fanciest blades are doing it.
You wear armor, you wear clothing?
I've got a suit of chain armour. It's more of a chain shirt, I imagine, going over. And there's a certain amount of uniform going on in the house colours of Mandrake's house. But it's seen better days, I'll be honest. Soap and laundry's not what it could be at this house. I don't think they're the richest house.
Do they not pay you enough, or do you spend all of your money quickly?
Well, I think that sort of thing is really a matter for the contract for employment. I'm not sure I'm at liberty to divulge it with you.
Fair
nice enough man there you are.
Yes. Russ, tell us about Mandrake.
Greetings. My name is Mandrake, and I like insects. Did you know ants have 2 stomachs? One for storage and one for digesting.
I did not know that, no. That's good. What do you look like?
Ooh, I'm a very handsome young man.
Define handsome.
Well, admittedly, some people don't agree, but they're all wrong.
Are you handsome in the same way that...
I'm with him. A boils add character, that's what I always say.
It's actually a little hard to tell whether they're boils or whether they're some kind of like parasitic insect.
So Silas is greasy. He's probably quite spotty. He's probably severely receding, but keeps his hair.
That acne will clear.
But keeps his hair long, nonetheless. So it's kind of wispy in that really,
right,
you know that style.
Yep, I do. Yes. So, Russ, you get sorcery in this game one of 2 different ways. For those who tend towards sort of a more snake-like approach, you can learn sorcery through the ancient writings of the Serpentine people who lived here long, long before humanity and who have all died out and definitely aren't still alive deep in the city's undercity, even a little bit. That's not a thing. Or, probably more likely for you, you decided or chose to share your soul with some sort of small god or demon who is insect themed, and so you literally have a small god or a demon living inside of you, whispering advice to you and giving you power.
Lovely.
Does that work for you?
Lovely.
Yes. You are mighty and powerful.
And I have
Worship
my
me and all will be
trusty
yours.
henchman here, Silas.
He is trusty. Fantastic. And your sorcerer's spheres.
Totally trustworthy.
Just so folks know, your focus is all your magic takes the form of insects, wind, or blood, as foul sorcery should. All right, fantastic. So a couple things that's good to remind you about the city of Eversink. Eversink is the most important city in the world. Just ask anyone there and they will tell you. What's weird is that when people leave Eversink, they don't always necessarily feel that way about it, but it just takes another trip back to the homeland to remind them about how glorious it is. Eversink has a patron goddess, the goddess of Denari. Denari is the goddess of civilization and wealth. She is the city, and the city is her. When you walk through the streets of Eversink, you are walking through Denari's body. Every coin exchange is a prayer to Denari. And sort of unusual, it's a city a little bit like medieval Venice or Valencia, and it's set down at a vast river delta at the base of the river Serpentine, flowing westward from the jungle out into the Bay of Coins. It's on dozens of islands, linked by boat or by bridge. And all of the buildings in Eversink are very slowly sinking. They have been for almost 1,000 years. No one knows why. I mean, there's swamps on either side, sure, but that shouldn't explain why you lose a couple of centimeters off every story on buildings every year or so. So you'll, generally speaking, lose a story of a building every 1 to 2 generations. You'll walk down the streets and there will be stairs going up to, what are basically second floors or first and a half floors, because the first floor entrance has sunk below ground and it's no longer really convenient. And so they then board that over, cover it up, waterproof that floor, and just build onto the top of the building. Walk through Eversink and the sound of hammering and stonework is everywhere as the Architects and Canal Watchers Guild make sure that the buildings are stabilized and that they're continuing to grow upwards. So it's a very vertical city in that sense as well. What that means, though, is that over the 1,000 or so years that Eversink's been around, there's been a lot of buildings that have entirely sunk underground, which means that Eversink's a little bit like an iceberg. There's some of the city that's above ground, but if you know how, and neither of you really know how, you can make your way through the undercity and find things that are hidden down there or long ago abandoned. The last thing that's worth mentioning is the funerary statues. There's statues everywhere in Eversink. And the reason for that is, what happens? If you die, it's really hard to bury someone when you're in a city that floods a lot, because there's not a lot of space for burials. There's some graveyards on the river shore, but bodies tend to wash free. So what happens to the flesh isn't all that important. Poor people tend to slide their loved ones into the swamps. The rich tend to have them. The church takes them upriver to these big stone plinths, cuts them open and let seabirds eat them in an air burial. But what's important is the soul. Your soul is guaranteed a place in heaven as long as someone cares about you enough to make a funerary statue for you. Now, this can be, if you're poor, like a small clay statue. If you're incredibly wealthy, it could be a 20-foot tall bronze monstrosity in the middle of a city square. Mm-hmm. But as long as that statue is undamaged, your soul is guaranteed a place in heaven. And if anything happens to that statue, either your soul dissipates or it is returned to the world as a ghost. Mm-hmm. So as a result, there are hundreds of thousands of statues around the city.
Yep.
On street corners, in houses, on rooftops, what have you. Okay, so with that, Peter, what time of year is it?
I feel good about it being autumn.
It's autumn, okay.
Yes,
fantastic.
Lots of gold leaves blowing through the streets, the occasional shower of rain, grey skies with clouds flying across.
Lots of lovely insects.
Is autumn an insect time? I guess it's before the great die-off during the winter,
yes.
Right? What's the weather like right now, Russ?
Ooh, it's a lovely day. Lovely drizzle. All the leaves are getting a bit mochi, just how I like them.
Got it. So it's kind of a cold, wet, drizzly sort of day.
Marvellous, isn't it?
Perfect. Gray skies. Okay, got it. Peter, high tide, low tide, somewhere in between.
High tide.
High tide. Okay. Is it so high that the streets are flooding?
Almost. If that rain keeps up, then there'll start being problems.
The canals are high, that's for sure. Especially right now, and there's probably some lower lying areas where the water is sort of sloshing over the top of the canals, and but those are mostly in the poor areas. It's not where you folks live, so It's fine. It's totally fine. What time of day is it?
I would say probably 10 in the morning.
Okay, got it.
Which means I am definitely still in bed.
Well, you would be in bed, Mandrake, normally, except for a problem. You have been notified that your mother's statue has been stolen from your home. This is the statue which did you like your mother?
Well, yes. I loved her very, very much, of course.
And perhaps even more importantly, there is the cocoon or the chrysalis of some very important insect that is currently on your mother's statue. It was probably in your lab and you were using it as a sort of hatching platform. Does that seem reasonable? And so if they took your mother's statue, they took that as well.
Well, that's just beyond the pale, isn't it?
It absolutely is. So in a full game, I would expect that you would try to figure out who or why that statue was stolen and trace it to either where it was or the person that took it. In the interest of time, we're going to cut forward from that, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently, the statue has been stolen by some thieves. I don't want to say thieves. I'm going to say reclamation experts who work on commission from the Church of Denari. They have lofted that statue outside of your tower without waking you up, gotten it into a cart, and gotten it most of the way across the city. You are pretty sure you know of the destination. The destination is that of a former inquisitor named Corso Ileri. Inquisitor Ileri used to be a member of the Church Militant and a reasonably respected inquisitor, and about a year ago arrested Mandrake on charges of foul sorcery. Mandrake beat the rap. It is unclear whether he beat that rap because he is not a sorcerer or because he has a large number of political contacts, which he then used to discredit and ruin the Inquisitor's reputation. Regardless, Inquisitor Larry tried to frame you, failed, and then you ruined his reputation. He has been forced out of the Church Militant. Rumor has it he bears a grudge. And you are currently on your way from your tower, your sort of moldering tower in Alderhall. Nobles have a huge amount of social capital, but they don't. Most nobles, maybe less so here. But they don't have a lot of money, generally speaking. And all the money they have is poured into upkeep and social niceties so that they maintain that. They will sit there in their gorgeous, glittering, jewel-like towers, eating canal fish off of chipped porcelain plates. Because, these plates have been in the family for 7 generations, and there's no reason to update now. Okay? So the two of you are on your way over to where Inquisitor Larry has taken your mother's statue. It is currently raining on you as the water dribbles down. Are you taking a boat? Are you going by street? How are you getting there?
I'm sure Silas can row. He's a strapping young chap.
No, I see. I'm probably taking the gondola for a punt then, aren't I?
I think you probably
I will
are.
sit at the back and eat these delicious insect eggs.
There's this popping sound as you pop each one into your mouth and they explode with juicy deliciousness.
Lovely.
It's really nice.
They're probably dribbling down my chin.
Yes. Okay, so when you are in the game, when you're traveling from one place to another, when you want to get sort of the feel of what that travel is like, but without taking the time for a full encounter, one of the things you can do is one or a series of travel montages. And so the way that we do this is normally if you have more than 2 players, it's a little bit easier. But here I will ask you, hey, Peter, what is something that goes wrong as you try to make your way from Alderhall and your tower there to the district of Ironcross where the former Inquisitor is taking the stolen goods? This can be an attack, it can be weather-related, it can be bureaucracy-related, it can be anything. What's something that goes wrong?
Well, I'd expect that the high tide and the unusually heavy rainfall is causing it to actually make it impossible on some of the bridges because some other gondolas have got caught on the bridges and like they're just getting in the way, so we can't actually get through.
Fantastic. Hey, Russ, make it worse.
Well, yes, and also the sewers have burst open just there, and the river was full of delicious, slimy, nutritious goodness, and look at all those insects attracted to them.
Right, okay. So, with your path blocked by gondolas both broken loose and with people in them being jammed up against one of the bridges, the water almost up to the level of the bridge, the backup of the gondola actually backing the canal up even more as more and more boats lose control and try to crash into it. And you are headed directly there. The two of you decide together, how do you get out of this?
I think we've
And I'm not going to ask you to roll anything, right? I'm going to ask you to describe it.
I think we'd just best pull over and walk the rest of the way, Mandrake.
Oh, very well. You know how
sorry,
I
young master.
hate walking.
I know you detest exercise in all its
Perhaps
forms.
if we get a little cart, you can pull me along.
We'll have to see, won't we? Yes.
Right. So you pull before you lose control and slide into the sewage, and the sound of splintering wood and screaming people. Mm-hmm. You manage to punt your gondola over to the side, tie it up, and decided to go the rest of the way on foot. Mm-hmm. Your boots, by the time you get there an hour and a half later, are soaking.
His boots
probably
are
up to the knees or so.
Mine are nice and dry as I sit here comfortably in this little cart. You look quite tired, Silas.
Surely an optical illusion, Master Mandrake. I've never felt fitter or fresher, I assure you.
Would you care for an insect egg?
I couldn't possibly. I wish to eat in the future.
Good, because they're all for me.
The two of you are standing there. The buildings around you in this district, you've passed through areas where the buildings are tilting or sort of sliding on the ground. Where you are right now is looking out onto what was once a relatively large plaza that had a reasonably large church in it. However, over the last 7 or 8 generations, that church has sunk almost entirely underground. The only thing that's left above ground is the former steeple of it. It's known as the spire. Other people have now built buildings closer in to the spire, and the spire sticks up out of the ground at a slight angle. That, according to your informants, Mandrake, is where the former Inquisitor is currently living. Around the base of that spire, from where you stand in the rain, or actually where you peek out of the cart, and where Silas stands in the rain soaked through, you can see that there's a half dozen bedraggled-looking mercenaries standing around the outside of that tower.
Well, that's fortunate.
The tower itself goes up probably 4 or 5 stories. What do you want to do?
Did you know,
shall go over and
Silas?
talk.
Did you know
yes,
that
Master Mandrake.
spiders are not insects?
Are they not, Master?
They're not. I thought it was
How
important to let
fascinating.
you know.
Yes, it seems very relevant to the back of that.
Yes. You never
If you'll
know when it
excuse
might
me.
be useful.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, do you think
Master,
you
I
could
shall-
deal with those ruffians there, Silas?
I think I shall, Master. If you'll excuse me.
Go and beat them roughly.
So going over, Silas is pretty sure he recognises medium-sized Giovanni.
Medium-sized Giovanni?
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to
Big Giovanni and little
short
Giovanni.
Giovanni.
You got medium-sized Giovanni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's medium-sized Giovanni's right there.
Yeah.
Is he from the same mercenary company that you are, or is he from a different mercenary company?
Oh, he's probably from the Agnus Dei lot, the Lambs of God, whereas I'm more of a Hawk's Talon chap myself.
Sure. In this particular case, Denari's symbol is a swan, and so they're actually from the Swans of God. But yes, close enough.
Yeah.
And he looks over the rain dripping off his helmet as you approach and says, "Oh, Silas, awful day to be out."
That it is my old signet, that it is. What are you fellas doing here? Yeah, I didn't
Pay to
think...
God.
What?
Pay to God.
Pay
Son
to
of a
God.
bitch gets kicked out of the church and doesn't get the church militant anymore. You know what happens? They got to pay for proper guards.
Oh dear, that does sound most unfortunate. And he ended up with you, did he?
Like I said, he had to pay for proper guards. Are you still working for that worm of an employer?
Oh,
You could do better.
Oh, I know, but it's a tradition.
Silas,
I know it's
Silas,
a
have you
tradition.
struck him roughly yet?
Oh, I can hear him. He's hiding in the car, didn't he?
He is, yes. It's not. I've not been reduced to picking refuse and rags off the streets. That's actually him. One moment,
medium-sized
master. One moment, master.
medium-sized Giovanni puts his arm around you and starts walking you slowly back towards the car. Look, Silas, I'm going to tell you this for your own good because I like you. We've always liked you, right? We got a note that said that the two of you might be on your way over, and that if you make any attempt to break into the spire, that we are to chop you down in the street and make an example of your stinking, festering, sorceress employer. You can be a part of that, or you can walk away.
I hear what you're saying, my little Signet. I hear what you're saying, but you'll be saddened to hear that you may be required back at the watch house because
Go ahead.
and it will have a flashback at this point.
Okay.
Some unfortunate person has let it be known about exactly whose hand has been in the cash pot for the pensioners and widows fund.
Wait, did you blame that on medium-sized Giovanni?
Oh, of course I did.
You're a bad person.
That's where all the evidence pointed after I'd finished with it. If
Right.
I were you, I'd get a move on, Giovanni. Otherwise, won't be calling you medium-sized. You'll be the littlest Giovanni after they get done tearing you to pieces.
So I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things.
Okay.
So if we're doing this as a flashback, I'm going to have you roll me a preparedness test.
Okay.
And to do that, you'll roll a d6. You're trying to get 4 or higher.
Yes.
You can spend points off preparedness to make that happen if you choose to.
Yeah.
And so if you don't want to risk it at all, you can spend 3 points, right?
Yeah, I'll spend 2 points of preparedness.
Okay. Great. And then roll a die. Don't roll a 1.
5.
5, fantastic. Okay, so you absolutely put this into place previously. And we want to establish as a fact that you have now...
Do I take off those dots, or...?
Yes, so take off those dots. You do not stop getting the ability to flashback just because you no longer have 8 in your pool, right? Those special abilities, those knacks, are based on your rank. Yeah. Think about your rank as the size of a bucket. Yeah. And think about your pool as the amount of water in that bucket on any given time.
No problem. Got it.
Lovely. Got it. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. If you had any ability to, if you were a thief, you'd probably be spending skullduggery right now in order to put that in place. You're not a thief. And so there's a couple other ways you might have chosen to have that in place. Spending 1 point of taunt is not a horrible way to do that, I suspect. Okay. But I'm willing to take other... spending a point of intimidation is also you're scaring him.
Point of taunt.
Okay, yeah. So just cross that out, or just click that out, so we know how many you have left.
Okay, done.
Lovely. And Giovanni spins and turns to you and goes, "What do you mean wanted back at the watch house? I got a note here telling me to report back, but I'm on a job. I can't go anywhere."
Oh, don't worry. I'll be sure to look after the place for you.
We were warned that you're not supposed to be here. What the hell did you do? What did you do?
Can I make a sway attack?
You may make a sway attack.
From within the
Absolutely.
cart, I'm going to poke my head out of the cart. And let's think. Yes, you know, Captain Sylvester. My good friend, Captain Sylvester.
What about him?
Well, I was out drinking with him last night. We had a very nice bottle of port together. It was very nice. We were down at the Cricketer's Arms. You know why I like the Cricketer's Arms? It's because it's named after an insect. Did you know that crickets hear through their legs? They have their ears on their legs. Isn't that fascinating?
Sure.
Yes.
I don't understand what that has to do with anything.
Well, I was talking to your captain, Captain Sylvester, and he is rather upset with you.
Something about money's going missing.
I did suggest that they throw the book at you. You know, the book, the big heavy book of laws and things.
I'm aware of the book.
Can I now use this forgotten law thing to make a law which makes his particular crime for which he's being framed, which was stealing from the pensioners and widows fund, to be a particularly frowned upon crime, and one which is punishable by death?
You can do that, sure. That sounds like a thing that you can do. And by the way, Peter, I lied about spending taunt before. What you really should have done is spend one of your 2 points of Allegiance Mercenaries, right? Okay. Because, of course, that gives you sway with the mercenaries.
Oh, there we go. Obviously, in retrospect. But there we go.
All right.
Done.
Yep. And so medium-sized Giovanni turns to you, Mandrake, and says, so what the hell do you want me to do about it? I didn't steal anything from anybody.
Well,
you know that.
I don't think that matters, really, does it?
Right. I see how this is going. Let me guess. Let me just see if I can predict the future. If I stay here between you and that tower, you're going to call the Watch. And the Watch are going to try to arrest me for a crime I didn't do.
You say
he's perspicacious, this one, isn't he,
you say try.
It's perspicacious.
Oh,
perspicacious is sweating.
Oh, well, you look pretty sweaty as well to me.
He gets right up in your face, Silas, and says, are you sure this is the thing you want to do?
Oh, Giovanni. I think you've made a dreadful mistake. 2 dreadful mistakes. Mistake the first is assuming that we haven't already called the Watch.
You son of a bitch. Mistake
the second is you're standing far too... Boom! And headbutt him.
Right, okay, roll a warfare attack.
Okay.
So actually, you have 2 choices. You can either try to defeat him in combat if you want to, or if you simply want, I'd say you're using intimidation.
Okay.
And getting him out of the way is going to get you into that tower where the adventure is, and we're on limited time. Yes. So if you want to describe this as intimidation, you'll have him.
Yeah, sure.
All right, fantastic. Were this a longer game, we could totally end up with a you on Mercenaries slugfest that would be delightful.
Yes.
In this case, however, did you actually call the guard? Call the Watch?
Seems that would be something that would require ridiculous luck to have done.
Right. All right. So we're going to fast forward a tiny bit. Yeah. Mandrake, you pull yourself out of your cart as the mercenaries are hauling medium-sized Giovanni off in an argument with the city watch, leaving the tower unguarded. One of the city watch come over and say, "Hey, you! Yeah, you!" Talking to Silas.
How may I help you?
We got a problem here with some. This guy's wanted for embezzlement. It's he stole from orphans and from widows.
And he seems like such a sweet young man as well.
Crime.
Look, the other soldiers aren't allowed to be here without their supervisor. We're arresting their supervisor. You look like. Can we just hire you to guard this place for an hour?
Of course. My rates are very reasonable.
Yeah, that's great. Someone else is going to pay it. Good.
Well, technically, you'd be subcontracting.
Not now, master.
Yes.
Not now, master.
Yes. You need to. I will loan him to you. Yes, for a reasonable fee.
He's already walked away through the drizzling rain, trying to catch up with the arguing soldiers and the unconscious medium-sized Giovanni. So you're now standing outside of the spire. You can see faces in the windows looking down at you from someplace. You're not sure who they are. What do you do?
Are we a door? Is there a door?
So there used to be a beautiful stained glass window that has been turned into a door.
It would be awkward to set the place on fire, wouldn't it, master?
Well, we really should...
Especially with the statue
we should
of
really should recover the statue first. Then we can set it on fire. That'll be fun, won't it?
Yes. All right, then. So, is the door locked?
Yes, the door is locked.
May I make I'm going to get a load of... What sort of insects eat... what's
Termite?
There's a sort of insect with an acidic bite, I'm sure. And I'm going to conjure a load of those insects to eat through the lock.
That sounds great. Roll me a sorcery attack, please.
Okay.
So you're going to roll a
Yes.
d4. You can spend points off sorcery.
What, corruption? Or...
So no, not corruption, on your general abilities.
D4, yeah, I'll spend
So
2 points.
and just a reminder, sorcery, you can use sorcery all day long if you want to without creating corruption, but the sort of big, impressive effects are done
Does
with
this
corruption.
count as one of those?
It does not, no, because those only count as things that you couldn't do any other way. There's lots of ways to open a door or pick a lock.
I'm going to spend 2 points on sorcery then.
Okay.
I have rolled a 5.
And roll it.
5.
5. Fantastic. All right. You can hear the faint hissing and chewing as the insects conjured by your spells
Go on, my pretties,
work their
go
way
on.
into the woods, and the door swings open. Would you like to make me a stealth test?
Sure. I have 4 ranks in stealth. I'm going to spend 2 of those.
Okay, sounds great.
I've rolled 4, plus 2 is 6.
That's it. Fantastic. All right, good. You did not make a lot of noise when you did.
Yes, I chose some very, very quiet insects. These are all female. Did you know only male crickets chirp? The females are quite silent, so I decided to stick with that theme.
Very sensible, Master. Very sensible.
Do you kick the door open or do you open it quietly?
Silas, your turn.
Axe in one hand, open door cautiously, trying to avoid silhouetting myself against the outside.
Okay, fantastic. You slide the door open. You looking into a room. It looks like it was, it's been decorated to look as much like church militant barracks as possible, but it is very clearly, you know how somebody who really enjoyed university then tries to make their apartment, be a reflection of their glorious university athletic days, and it's really just sort of sad and pathetic.
Okay,
All that Jimi Hendrix posters in there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's got that. It's got kind of that
right.
feel to it.
But less
of somebody-
tie-dye sheets, more like someone's like put up banners and crossed spears and so forth.
Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. There is on the far side of the room, Silas. There is what looks to be a servant, sort of crouching over by the stairs. There's a circular staircase going up. As the door slides open and you appear silhouetted in the door, he
I
turns
avoided.
and starts to. What's that?
I was avoiding silhouetting myself in the door.
Oh, you're not. See, I take that back. The door's
you see
okay.
the idea
door,
being that if you're in a dark place and someone opens it from the outside, it makes you really easy to shoot with crossbows and stuff like that, which is bad.
It does. That is absolutely correct. So the door swings open. There's nobody in the door. No crossbow bolts fly out of the door.
Taking a peek round, I imagine perhaps I see a servant looking a bit
You
terrifying.
do see a servant. Yes.
Right. Then I'll take several quick steps into the room and seize him roughly by the scruff of his shirt.
They're far enough across the room that they may get a start up the stairs before you do that. And you hear a voice as you start for them. They're behind a table as well. And the servant says, "I need to order you to stop. Right where you are. Don't come any farther in. I've been ordered to tell you that if you don't turn around and leave, the thing that you have come here for will be destroyed."
How is it so easy to talk with all those bugs in your mouth?
What bugs in my mouth?
So this is going to be a spell of some kind.
Okay, got it. So in combat, the way that it works, everybody who's in a combat has to go.
Yep.
So, right, Russ, Mandrake goes first. Actually, I take that back. Silas rushed across the room, but is right on the other opposite side of the table from him.
Just vault clear across the table with my incredible athleticism, which is at 7 beyond many people's capabilities.
Okay, so I'm going to have you make me an athletics test. You'll be next to him if you do.
Okay.
Then Mandrake goes, then he goes last. Person who goes last, hopefully you'll have stopped him, because person who goes last in the round gets to decide who goes first in the second round.
Well, if I vault the table and then grab it on the same turn?
Grab him, yes. Hurt him, no.
Oh, no, I just want to grab him.
Right. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So I will spend 3 points to just go
All right.
seamlessly
Fantastic.
leap across and hoik him up off the floor.
Okay. Mandrake, do you wish to bug him?
I do. I wish bugs to start coming out of his mouth, and so he can't talk and he's choking. Really, really disgusting.
He's only going to... The target number for this one is only 3, because he's currently being grabbed by Silas.
I am not going to put any points in this one. I'm just going to roll straight.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
1.
Well, got a 1. Okay. Why did you fail?
I forgot. All bugs are insects, but not all insects are bugs. I got the wrong classification. I'll do better next time.
Right. Okay. So you've got him. You currently have him, Silas, by the shirt front, and you feel something pressing against your belly. And he says, "I was given this. It's poisoned, and if I jab it into you, it's gonna kill you horribly. You should let me down and leave. I've been ordered to guard this doorway, and I'm gonna do it with my life, or else my soul's forfeit."
I quite understand.
He's making a sway attack against you to try to get you to put him down.
Okay.
Right. So he's going to hit. He's pretty convincing, all things considered. He's got a poison dagger, or what he claims is a poison dagger, to your belly. He does 5 points of sway to your morale. So that means you have 1 point of grit, so your morale gets lowered by 4 points.
3,
You're still above 0?
4, yeah.
He looks at you and says, "Are you going to put me down?"
Oh, certainly. And then just open my hand and let him drop. And then, as he drops, bring my other hand round to box his ears.
Right, okay. Technically, so it's his turn. You're dropping him, so he's not going to attack you, which means I'm giving you the active player card, which means you can box his ears.
Yes.
Roll me a warfare test.
Okay.
Only a target number of 3. He's not hard to
Silas,
kill.
strike him roughly.
Okay.
You do notice that his clothes are covered with vermin that didn't seem to be there a moment ago.
I presume he's just lousy. I've got 4.
Right, okay. I'm not even going to ask you to roll damage, Peter, because he doesn't have a name. That makes him a mook. That means he only has 1 health.
Yep.
You box his ears and down he goes.
I'll take that, my little Cully, and extract the poison dagger from his grip.
Okay, got it. It is, in fact, a stiletto that does have kind of a green sticky substance on it.
Oh, that could have been most unfortunate.
I'll take that, Silas. Might come in useful.
Oh, I wouldn't want you to cut yourself, Master.
Oh, I know
Most
all about
unfortunate.
these poisons. It's an insect poison, no doubt.
No, it's a little bit more dangerous than your average butter knife.
Yeah.
You know you're not allowed anything sharper. Not since the incident.
We don't talk about the incident, do we, Silas?
There's a noise from somewhere upstairs. If a gong could be a gong with pressure instead of sound, that is what it feels like. Boom.
Was that you, Silas?
No, Master.
Are you sure? Was it those eggs you had for breakfast?
Don't think so, Master. I think we'd best get a move on.
Yeah, very well.
And can I attempt to climb the stairs quickly but quietly?
You can do so. That sounds fine. You run up the stairs quickly but quietly. There's nobody blocking the stairs. Sadly, the former Inquisitor spent most of his money on the mercenaries. You can see this whole place. It looks like he's having trouble with the upkeep. In terms of, like, there's water leaking in from cracks in the roof and the stained glass. Most of the furniture is used. He probably stole or acquired the tapestries from former churches. And you come out of the top of the stairs into the top room of the steeple. Do you want to open the doorway and pause? What do you want to do?
Just go straight in.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. As you go straight in, you can see that there is a man, you know the man, the Inquisitor, is standing on the far side of the space. What used to be the statue of Mandrake's mother is up on a sort of pedestal, and it is currently lying in pieces, and the Inquisitor has a sledgehammer in one hand.
Okay.
And the Inquisitor turns to you and says, I was hoping they would delay you a bit longer. You're too late. I have done what is needed to be done. Hey, Mandrake, are you running up the stairs?
Yes, I'm behind Silas, yeah.
I'm going to have you make me an athletics test so that or you can just show up at the top of the stairs winded.
Yeah, sure, that, yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, you're panting and breathing heavily by the time you get up behind him. I didn't succeed last year. You've ruined my life, sorcerer. But I've put things in motion that's going to pay you back.
I clearly didn't ruin your life enough. Maybe it's time to rectify that.
You're welcome to try. I have arranged things so that I have friends now, sorcerer.
I wonder, Inquisitor, can you fly?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate, isn't it?
All right, we're going into initiative. Hey, Mandrake, you go first.
Okay, my attack is going to be hundreds of buzzing insects, which are going to try and drive him through a stained glass window to fall to his death in the street below.
Okay, cool. So there's a couple of ways that you could do this. You can either roll a sorcery attack if you want this to have a chance of failing, right? You hit him with a spell, but you're not spending any investigative points. We can do that, and there's a way that he could resist. It'd be analogous to trying to shove someone off a roof, or you can frickin' spend your corruption points and make it a.
Oh, we'll do that. We will do that.
Okay.
Let's corrupt away, shall we?
All right, how many? So a couple questions here. One is, how many points of corruption would you like to spend on this guy?
I've got 3. How about I spend?
You do have 3.
How about I spend 3?
That's pretty impressive. That's extremely impressive. All right. So are you going to internalize or externalize the corruption? Are you going to change things about your body, or are you going to pollute and ruin the spiritual environment?
We will internalize.
Okay. So first things first, roll me a sorcery attack just to make sure you hit.
Okay.
Or you can spend 3 points of sorcery and automatically.
Yeah. So we'll do that.
Okay, great. All right. So your insects swarm out of you and slam into him, burrowing their way into his body and literally carrying him out of the tower through one of the stained glass windows, out and slamming him down into the street below. How many points did you spend on your attack? Do you remember?
3.
Okay, got it. All right. Want me to roll damage dice, or do you want to?
I'll do it just so I know how it works. Then, what do I do?
Okay, sounds great. And what was the total result of your attack roll?
I didn't actually make one because you said if I spent 3, I'd automatically
Oh, that's
hit.
fine. You have a chance of critting, which is why I ask.
So you want me to roll it anyway, or?
Yeah, roll it anyways. Let's
And
see.
then
if
I've got
you
a +3 still, have I? Or?
Yeah,
So
yes,
5
you do.
plus 3 is 8.
Does this apply to any of your 3 favorite things in
Let's
life?
have a look. A burning sense of irritation at the man who crossed you.
Oh, well, there we go.
He really
Okay.
does irritate me.
So the wait, is that a thing part of your gear? Or
Oh,
is
that's
that
a
part of the
gear.
3
Sorry.
favorite- that's the-
Sure. The buzz
middle.
of thousands of tiny wings.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, so you hit a target number of 9, which is what you need for a crit. So roll first d6.
8. I rolled, not 9.
Okay. You had 3 plus you rolled a
5. That's 8.
right, and your 3 best things in life gives you +1 on
okay,
a die
cool.
roll. That's
Okay.
why you do it. All right, roll a d6.
4.
4. Okay, so that's going to be, and you get +1 on your sorcery for damage, so that's going to be a total of 5. And now you spent 3 of those. I'm going to have you roll 4d6.
4d6. Got a Judge Dredd symbol on that one.
All right.
Unfortunately, it's a 1.
it's a
So
1.
3, 4, 9 on 4d6. That's not a good roll.
Total of 9? Yes, but because you're using corruption, you're adding some numbers to that. So that's going to be a total of an additional 14, which means you do a total of 19 points of damage to him. Would you please describe to me what it looks like as your insects carry him out of the window, smashing him down to the ground, and utterly eradicating
So
him?
basically, this swarm of insects has grabbed hold of him in the tiny little pincers and teeth and stuff, and they've lifted him off the ground, just thousands and thousands of them, carried him through the window, smashing through the window, and then when he gets to the how high up are we?
You're about 50 feet up.
They swoop up into the air. Another, I don't know how high insects can fly. Let's say 100 feet,
Sure.
and then they let go. So he falls 150 feet and lands smack down on a black iron railing spiky fence, perforated in at least 4 different places.
Perfect. Behind you, you hear...
Is that you, Silas?
It is not. Who is behind us?
I suppose I better turn round then.
It is not. That was astonishing. There's an image of a woman. She's not tall and graceful. She's sort of short and squat, kind of toad-like or frog-like, actually.
Oh.
The edges of her form shimmer slightly. As she looks at you and says, "That was astonishing. Just lovely. I've seldom seen a better death."
Silas, can you see that?
I'm afraid so, Master.
There.
After I am done with you, as I had promised the corpse, I will eat the 2 of you and then devour what's left of him.
Before you do that, I'd just like you to know, did you know that mosquitoes bite more when there is a full moon?
As you are in the process of saying that, her tongue whips out of her face, the huge sticky end of her tongue slapping into the middle of your face, dragging you across the room and dragging your head into her mouth, at which point she crunches down with the sharp teeth.
That's disgusting.
Like you can talk.
Ouch! Yeah, that's kind of painful. Right. So I rolled very, very well.
Oh, good.
Hey, does Mandrake have any points of armor?
No.
No, he does not. I don't think so. So she just did 12 points of health to you. So here's here's the thing. Hey, Silas, remember Flashback?
Yep.
In Fellowship of the Rings, and I may have used this example beforehand, when Frodo gets stabbed by the cave troll, he's not actually wearing any armor and it probably kills him. Sam used Flashback in order to make sure that Frodo put on his armor that morning. She's about to do her best to bite off Mandrake's head. Is there anything that you want to do about that or establish as a fact?
Well, if you will recall, Silas is currently still holding a poisoned stiletto.
That is true.
Which he had downstairs, and being as how he can spot frailty from quite some distance away, as well versed in tactics of death, the most obvious thing for him to do is leap across and treat her how he's seen Mandrake treat frogs on many occasions.
Sure. So I'm actually asking something different, which is fine. So what I'm actually asking is whether or not you want to do or establish anything as a fact that will end up causing Mandrake to take less.
Like, for
damage.
example,
and the answer to that can totally
when you laid out my clothes this morning, as a good manservant should, did you lay out the sort of reinforced high collar jacket?
Alas, no, I didn't.
All right then. Hey Russ, you dropped from 8 health down to negative 4 health. So that puts you at hurt. I'm going to ask you to make me a health test. Here's how a health test works. You roll a d6. You're trying to get 4 or higher. If you succeed, you stay conscious. You can spend points off your health to add to that roll. But also, I'll point out that you have Leechcraft. You can spend your point of Leechcraft to... actually, on your turn, you can spend your point of Leechcraft to heal you. Or you can spend any investigative ability to give you a +3 bonus on this roll. So basically what happens is if you fail a difficulty 4 test, health test, you're going to drop unconscious. That may not be the best idea.
I saw it happening in a dream last night.
Amazing. That's perfect. Yes.
Okay, so I've
cross off your prophecy point.
Yep. 1. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So what that means, if you do that, you're going to automatically make that test. You'll stay conscious.
Okay, so I don't need to roll. Oh,
so you don't need to roll. Yep, you'll stay conscious. That'll give you +3 on the roll. You can't fail it. All right, fantastic. You are managed to stay conscious as she starts to chew on your neck. And she opens her mouth, your body drops, your head is not entirely severed, she looks disappointed. She looks down at you and says, "If you would be so kind, just stay there for just a few moments, please. I have contractual obligations to the man you just killed."
Silas, beat her roughly!
Silas, you go last in the round, and you get to decide who goes first in the second round as well. What would you like to do?
As previously described, I'd like to
Jump
spring
across, yep.
cat-like across the room.
You got it.
Grab her hair, and I can't remember the exact words. It's where basically you stab a dagger into some of the vertebrae to basically paralyze something.
Is it pithing?
Pithing.
I think it's pithing.
That's the one. Yes.
Perfect.
I piff her like Mandrake piss frogs.
Okay, that sounds great. Roll me a warfare attack, please. The higher the better. If you hit a difficulty of 9, you'll crit. Otherwise, you just have to hit a 4.
Well, I do have Warfare 8. I haven't spent any of it.
That's right.
So...
Spend it all.
Well, do I need to spend it all?
Well, you
Yeah.
can. So you have a couple. You
I'll
have a
spend
couple
it all.
choices. Oh, you're gonna spend it all? Fantastic. This is gonna be great. Roll that die.
Okay. Die says 3.
Okay. So a total of 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, fantastic. Do you wish to spend any investigative abilities in order to add to your damage?
Spot frailty, tactics of death.
Sure. Either one would be appropriate.
Let's have some tactics of death in there.
Sure.
Can I
you want to spend
throw
all
more
3
than-
points?
Yeah, why not?
You can spend as many points as you want in any one ability.
Yeah.
So in this
I'll whack
case,
in 3 points of tactics of death.
Fantastic. You're going to roll an extra 3d6 worth of damage,
Okay.
plus an additional d6 for your crit. So roll me 4d6, please.
4d6. And that is 6, 5, 3, 1, 15.
15. Fantastic. We're going to add 8 to that for a total of 23 points of damage. All right. You don't kill her. You do, however, slam your axe hard into the... Or you're using a dagger, right?
Do I get anything from the poison from the stiletto?
What's that? She is immune to poison.
Oh, okay. Well, it was worth a shot.
No, absolutely worth a shot. Jam that into the back. The whole bottom half of her body looks like it's partially paralyzed. It's the end of the round. Who goes first in the second round? You want to go again?
Yeah, hit her again.
Or you can
Hit
have
her again.
Mandrake go. Your call.
I think I will have a go, if that's all right.
Sure. Where you hit her beforehand, her human skin peels away, and a hideous green, rubbery skin begins to bulge outwards.
I think in this case, what is going to happen is I'm going to get my bloody and two-handed axe
Okay.
and, lay on.
Fantastic. There's a total of 5 refresh tokens from previous encounters that you can claim right now if you want to. Each one will give you will refresh one token or one of your abilities by 1 point. So you can take all 5 and dump 5 points into your warfare if you choose. Leaving poor Mandrake without any.
I'll take 3 and put them into warfare, if that's all
You
right.
got it. Okay. Yep.
Now
Sounds
I'll
good.
immediately spend that.
Fantastic.
Is it just 1d6 I roll?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So that's a 4 on the dice.
For a total of 7 points.
Yeah, I've got a +2 damage modifier from having this axe.
That'll be on your damage. Fantastic. You're 2 points short of critting. Do you want to spend the investigative ability points on extra damage?
Oh, that's why I shall go with spot frailty, because frail things next.
Okay, that is certainly true. I'll have you roll me 3d6.
Okay, frailty.
You dare lay hands on me.
1, 5, and 2 makes a total of 8. +2
Okay,
damage.
plus 2 for damage. Yep, is total of 10.
Yes.
Fantastic. You've done 33 points of damage to her. She is most remarkably annoyed. At this point, the whole bottom half of her body is bulging out of its human skin. Frog parts sort of sliding out, popping the human skin away from it as her natural form begins to take place. This huge, bulbous, slimy monstrosity. And right at her feet continues to lie Mandrake. But you've done an amazing job. Her back half is largely paralyzed. She's keeping herself up with one of her sort of front arms, and her mouth begins to unhinge. Who goes next, Mandrake or her?
No, Mandrake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mandrake, what do you do?
You know I said that mosquitoes bite more when there's a full moon? Well, there was a full moon last night. Come to me, my little pretties. And a swarm of mosquitoes swarming down on her, covering her, all of them sucking out her blood. Like thousands and millions of them.
Glorious. There's 2 refresh tokens if you want to dump those into your sorcery attack.
I'll do that if I were you.
Yeah, okay, yep. Right, so what am I doing?
So you probably want to make a sorcery
Okay, so I'm going
test.
to knock 3 points off sorcery. That's going to take me down to 0, so hopefully this is going to do some good. Mm-hmm. So I'm rolling d6 plus 3, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, 2 plus 3 is 5.
5. Hey, did you include those 2 points I just said were refresh tokens?
7.
Okay, 7. All right.
Can I do anything with ability?
You may do something with an ability, sure. What do you want to do?
Leechcraft. This kind of blood-sucky stuff.
Sure. Leechcraft means that you know the sensitive areas of the body. You know how to how to hurt people, how to poison them, how to give them diseases, how to.
So I'm going to.
That sounds fantastic. Roll me 2d6, please, and tell me what they are.
7.
Okay, total 7. Fantastic. Damn it. Right. Okay, so here's what happens. She, having stopped looking at you after she got almost cut in half by this guy with an axe, and is sort of dragging herself towards him, her mouth unhinging when all of your mosquitoes settle in and begin to suck her blood. Her tongue snaps out. She paws at them ineffectually, slipping and dropping onto the ground. And you watch as the carnivorous flies begin to turn red and swollen with her blood. She doesn't scream. There is a hissing, burbling, slucking sound. And as you watch as that one more time, that sort of boom, the sound of a gong, but without any actual noise, chimes. And she simply vanishes.
Here, how rude.
Most unfortunate. If you'll excuse me, Master, and peg it down the stairs.
Okay.
Is the manservant still there?
The manservant is still there, yes.
Yes, well, swift kick to the head.
Okay, done.
And then sling him over my shoulder and race back up. And then we shall commence Operation Frame Up.
Right. So you currently have the Inquisitor impaled on the thing I didn't do beforehand. Hey, Russ. Here is how corruption works. When you internalize corruption, you make me a health test. You spent 3 points, so your health test is going to be for difficulty 7. If you make it, one small thing changes on your body. If you fail, something changes on your body that will be recognizable to other people. You may spend points off your health if you wish, though that might drive you unconscious.
Very, very low, yeah.
Okay.
So no, I'm not going to, which means I can't make that roll.
Which means you can't make that roll. Okay. Tell me what changes about your physical appearance.
It's got to be something insect-like, hasn't it?
It does.
Ooh. My eyes become compound eyes.
Okay, that's amazing. And the way that this works is that it doesn't really have a game effect, but over time your character changes in appearance and people start to react differently based on that, as they're transformed into something that used to be human and no longer is. Okay, you now have compound eyes. You look over from where you're lying on the ground. Your head is throbbing. Your neck hurts more than anything you've ever felt before. You'll need high neck collars. It's going to leave a scar. And you can see the ruins of your mother's statue, the broken statue of her head staring at you. And right there behind your ear, the prized chrysalis from the alchemically engineered insect that you've been working on, completely uninjured.
Ah, thank goodness for that.
Silas, how are you going to handle the frame up?
Well, what we've got is we've got your classic situation of a Inquisitor gone bad, starts getting into occult activity, makes a human sacrifice of this chap here, and is just blown away by all the various things and powers of which he could not control. It didn't have to be particularly well done. A few mystic scrolls, and then, fortunately I brought a Fortunately, I brought a hood with me, Master. I think you best wear this. And let's be out of here swiftly before the authorities have their attention brought here.
Yes, I think that is wise.
Fantastic. I think the most important question I have for you now, Peter, is: do you wish to spend your point of ridiculous luck?
Yes.
The person who comes to investigate turns out to be the least competent investigator in the church, notorious for being venal, corrupt, and not particularly careful. And so the two of you limp out. Is there anything you wish to take with you as you leave?
Is there anything valuable looking?
Of course there is. Not super valuable looking, but his tributes, the things that he saved from his life in the church that were most important to him, the silver cup, that shield that that meant so much, that looks like it's incredibly well made.
Oh, marvellous. I'm sure these will melt down nicely.
And assisting Mandrake, the two of you make your way out of the tower, out into the cold and cleansing rain, past the gate with the impaled body on it, and the crowd of people
that
nearby.
looks lovely.
Staring.
Oh, shocking what this city's coming to. Foul sorcerers everywhere.
A swarm of bugs drives the onlookers away as you make your way to the cart.
Mm-hmm.
And with a grunt, as Silas lashes himself into the harness and pulls the injured Mandrake away.
Giddy up, Silas, giddy up!
Okay.
The adventure draws to a close.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for running, Kurt.
That was fun.
Well, good.